This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on December 20th, 2020.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Council of the First Ones. I'm your host, Kelly, and joining me is Shawn. Hey, Shawn, are you done digging out from the storm we had?
Yeah, it took me the better part of a morning the other day, but yeah, we're all dug out finally, and my kids loved it, and I'm just the one going, just don't bring it in the house. But my kids, we actually had a nice little almost neighborhood snowball fight the other day with getting out into it, so that was pretty cool. Nice. Especially for the Christmas season. So
yeah, we haven't had snow on the East Coast in a few years.
Yeah.
So it was perfect timing, even though there was still school.
That's true.
I miss the snow days. Also joining us is Dave. Hi, Dave.
I kind of wish it was snowing, but yeah, I'm here keeping safe in Seattle and enjoying the Christmas season.
Well, I'm sure Shawn and I can box up some snow and mail it out to you.
Well, that's okay. I'll just break out the Snoopy snow cone maker and make some snow that way.
I loved that thing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Sugar high, no problem.
Exactly.
Sugar high.
Oh, yeah. Well, Christmas is right around the corner, and a lot of new toy news just came out. I think I'm going to have to start with the puzzles that I saw on Amazon, that there's 2 brand new Masters of the Universe puzzles.
After how many years? Oh my God, we finally have puzzles. 2 of them, and they use the vintage, and they use the vintage art, which is amazing. I love it. It's a dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The William George. I know the Battle Cat one is William George. I don't know if the Night Stalker one is or not, though.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. But they're beautiful. And I forget how many pieces, like 500 or something like that. I love it. I can't wait to put them together, maybe even frame them. I mean, I've been wanting these for years, puzzles, coloring books, like the whole works. And, I'm shocked that up until I think a day or two ago, Mattel made no announcement about these puzzles. I actually saw them. I think there was something yesterday on the Masters of the Universe official Facebook page pointing out that they were now available on Amazon. And yeah, so, it's a nice surprise for Christmas.
We were all good boys and girls. We deserve some surprises.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting rewarded for all of our misery this year.
You mean Walmart? We only have 11 days left of Origins and WWE of Eternia staying at Walmart.
Yeah, we're counting down. 2021's coming, and I'd love to see some news on January 1st about it.
Oh, I'd say they have them ready, because remember, a few times I saw it on Amazon where we could pre-order some of the Origins, and then they had to cancel it.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody I spoke to anyway, it may not be true for everybody, but everyone I spoke to said that their Amazon orders were canceled. And the last time I went looking for those listings, they were all gone. So I don't know. Maybe it seems like they were jumping the gun.
I'd say someone hit the post a little too soon.
Right. Exactly.
So we know that the stores are getting ready for them.
Yeah, well, we're seeing some teasers here and there. People are noticing some things in Target's inventory system, and there were there were those emails released by Entertainment Earth asking if small businesses would like to, to sell those figures, and so we got some kind of leaks or rumored lists of possible figures that we'll see in the next waves of Origins, like Hordak and Mosquitor and Fisto, Webstore, Green Goddess, Stinkor, and possibly even some kind of Lords of Power, Beastman and Merman. Some iteration of them, perhaps, maybe some single-carded figures. We'll see. We'll see what we get.
Well, I hope if we do see the Lords of Power coming to the retail, it has to be different, figuring it's costing us $200. We're just getting the shipments now. So hopefully it might be reduced deco. If they didn't have too many accessories with each of the characters, the retail version of She-Ra, which there is also the PowerCon exclusive, which has not arrived yet. That's why it has not shipped. The big difference is in the head. It has sculpted hair and it doesn't have the Comac.
Yeah, it's odd to see them listed. And again, this is not confirmed. This is, from emails, from leaks. But yeah, we could be getting some single-carded Lords of Power, Beastman, and Merman figures. And I mean, Merman, I get if they're going for a mini comic variant. Maybe a slightly different color to him. But Beastman is certainly not a mini comic variant. It doesn't look like he did in the mini comics. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with them. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can see that upsetting the fan base, those who spent all that money for the exclusives. Now they're hitting retail?
My only guess is that they call it Lords of Power, Beastman and Merman, because they are technically the same molds. But I recall another figure that's, in these leaks, these rumors, is Evelyn version 2, which, if it's Evelyn version 2, I assume that it's just Evelyn in a different color scheme. We'll see.
Most likely. The 2000X version, which they did in the Mega Block. I mean, I can see Green Goddess, because that's basically Evelyn and Teela just all in green.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easy one. Phil would only have two new parts, a big hand, and a new head sculpt.
Which Green Goddess is like right there at my number one, wish list figure for Origins is Green Goddess. So yeah, that would be amazing. I kind of assumed that and was hoping that Green Goddess would come in a 2-pack along with Ular, or a 3-pack that included the purple monster from the mini comics, but that was just wishful. Maybe it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, the Merman for that one, I don't know. I'd be a little more tempted with those two than I would have. If I saw them, I'd be like, ooh, like definitely single, because I couldn't get in on the PowerCon exclusive for that price at that point. But that would be kind of fun to have those. And I honestly, that's the thing. Like the guesses here being what they are, and why are they doing this? How are they doing it? It's like if they would have at least, maybe they had like some idea of what the packaging would have been like if they would have gone Lords of Power over Masters. I don't know if there was a difference in the history of the line or not, but it would be kind of fun since they're doing the She-Ra, the card back being like the nod to the original, at least the PowerCon exclusive is. It'd be kind of fun to have that too within the line, I'd be curious. Well, it's just one of those we never knew. Like it's the what if kind of a thing with that line, that like the Lords of Power aspect.
I could be wrong, but when I saw a side by side of the Lords of Power Beastman figure and the regular Beastman figure, it appeared to me anyway that the Lords of Power Beastman figure is quite a bit shorter than the regular Beastman. The something in the torso, the shoulders, the head, it's he looks noticeably shorter. And so to offer, I don't know, maybe they would offer Beastman as their idea of a mini comic variant, which again, clearly that figure does not match up with what mini comic Beastman should look like. So yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But you asked the question of, will Green Goddess be translucent? I personally really hope not. I mean, of course, she wasn't translucent in the mini comics, but it would be great to get two versions, maybe an exclusive version at a convention of Green Goddess, and then a non-translucent retail version.
I'm just thinking of how they did her with classics, and then all I kept thinking beyond that was, please don't let the crotch be an issue again, because everybody who has that one knows you don't touch it. If you get it, you don't touch it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know I have one of the few that haven't exploded yet.
To this day, anytime I hear about that figure in particular, I will be honest to say I feel for Scott every time, for Scott Knightlick, because I'm sure he's had to answer that so many times,
right?
And apologize and explain what the problem is, and he's got a Spectre channel, so he's able to at least put it out there. But
he has explained it, because it didn't just affect Green Goddess; it did affect DC Classics too.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was something with the welder.
Yeah, the sonic welder
malfunction.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree with you, David, that in the comics she was not translucent and all that stuff. So I prefer one that it is a solid, that's just her skin color. It's not like an energy or something coming off of her or whatever.
Yeah.
The take on it in classics was with the translucent material. But yeah, it's fun just to have her in there, because I love the old mini comics, and they at least have that. She's still viable, and putting her in there, it's like, thank you, because I appreciate that as a fan.
Well, and it would be interesting, one thing I wanted to point out is that Green Goddess is not a regular vintage Masters of the Universe figure, and up until now, every figure in the regular line has been from the vintage line. So I don't know, is this a case where it could be a case where we are getting a Keldor, a 2-pack that includes the 2000X Keldor figure and a 2000X Cronus Trapjaw figure. And I don't have evidence of this, but my gut tells me that 2-pack was supposed to be an exclusive offering at San Diego Comic-Con.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And that because of the
now
pandemic,
it's going to be the exclusive at Target.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. And for a much cheaper price, I'm sure, for all of us than what we would have been ending up paying on eBay or at the show for it. So I personally feel that's in a way it's a huge win for Motu collectors to be able to get those figures at a reasonable price. And so I'm wondering if the same thing could be said about the Green Goddess figure. If we get Green Goddess, was she intended to be an exclusive figure, and then they decided to plop her in the line as though she was just a regular vintage figure? We'll see. But yeah, I think that when my gut is telling me, whenever we're seeing these figures that were not in the original vintage line and we're seeing them being included in Origins, I'm thinking that they were most certainly intended to be an exclusive offering, or they were an exclusive offering, as we're seeing with the Lords of Power figures. but then they decided to do something else with them for the retail line.
Well, the other thing too is this year has proven that Target is now going to be the new Walmart, and how many people are not thrilled because
Right.
from personal experience this year, I know like if you're interested in like the GI Joe classified line, good luck, because they've done pre-orders and that stuff has been sold out like minutes after they're posted, and you can't even find the figures on the shelf. So
I know.
I'll be very curious to see if they've made up for 2020 with how they've handled that when they get that 2-pack in. Hopefully, yes. And the other thing too that would be a good solution is, you know, typically the convention exclusives are always going to be a very small run. This hopefully is going to be a big mass market run, so it's not going to be as difficult to come by, and it's not going to be as rare and turn it into a, you know, eBay sellers are selling there for 200 to 250 bucks a pop, trying to get a 2-pack of these figures right now.
It won't necessarily be a scalper exclusive like so many of the other figures we've been purchasing.
Hopefully, but you know, and this, it would not surprise me if they are some of the more elusive ones to get if you can't get them as quickly as possible. And then you got your Days of Maddie collector, where the minute that the figure for that month goes up, you know, everybody's scrambling just like that.
Yeah, but at least we knew the day and time that we had to be online to get it.
Exactly. And that's why it's like using the name Target for this store is interesting to me, because it's like, am I gonna get it then, or are we not?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Exactly.
Am I hitting my mark? So yeah.
Well, you know, that brings me to a one thing I wanted to mention is that, speaking of, you know, scalpers, remember Mattel Creations? There was an exclusive translucent Skeletor figure that was offered.
Yes,
and I believe
it
was like
clear
$50, right?
Yep, it was $50 plus shipping.
Yeah, which again, it's you know. God, exclusives are so expensive. Why? But and I know that the why, but come on, I don't like paying that much for my toys. But yeah, there just yesterday, I believe, there was a photo that somebody shared on the 18,000 member Origins fans group of a photo from China. Somebody in China took a picture of their in-hand translucent Skeletor Origins figure. I thought that was pretty interesting to see.
Well, we know he knew someone at the factory.
Yeah, I guess so. So that one's on the way.
I did see it, and I was surprised that it wasn't as translucent as they advertised it. So I'm wondering if that was one that didn't pass quality control.
Well, it seemed to me that the photos that we've seen, some of them look more translucent than others. There was one photo that made it look like it was made of glass, but you know, like completely translucent. And I think maybe it's probably just something to do with the lighting that they used. I'm not sure.
It could be.
Yeah. So yeah, not as translucent maybe as we'd like. Maybe akin to something like to the John Cena Masters of the WWE Universe figure. That was pretty translucent.
But I also heard that Panther has been seen in Canada.
Yes, Panther is stalking Canada as we speak. Well, and it's interesting because one person, a few people have shown off that yes, they have Panther in hand and that they were purchased in Canada. I have been checking. I'm not going to, you know, I don't plan to order one from Canada, from eBay, but I've been checking eBay and I have not seen a single in-hand Panther offered on eBay yet. Just those pre-sale listings saying, oh yeah, they'll ship in February. So I thought that was a little odd.
Well, I remember reading on the Origins Facebook page, one person who did want to buy a Panther in Canada, when they went to check out, they were told, nope, we put them out too soon, and he wasn't allowed to even purchase it.
Oh, a street date thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe that's why for a short time there were just a few people that had the next wave of Origins figures in Canada, which they are showing up there. She-Ra, Roboto, Zodak, Merman. And now they're starting to show up more again. I've seen a growing number of them on the Origins fans group.
Yeah, it seems like the U.S. gets everything late.
Yeah, it's has that been the case traditionally? I do love the fact that the rest of the world that they're getting the Origins figures. I mean, I think that's great news for the collectors and great news for Mattel. At the same time, I'd like the U.S. to also receive the figures. I feel like it shouldn't be one or the other. Mattel. I'm sure there must be a way for them to be able to do a truly worldwide release.
Well, in the past, it was always the U.S. and then Europe got it a little later. That's why when Masters started dying down in the 80s, around 86, 87, we didn't get too much of the Giants or Laser Lights, Skeletor, Laser Lights, He-Man, but they were released in Europe.
Right.
He-Man was still more popular.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is just paying us back that we used to get it first, now we're getting it second.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is if you look in the last, I want to say probably the last 10 years, a lot of obviously this isn't figures, but movies. A lot of the Marvel movies would be released overseas a week or two before we get it here, even.
Right.
And it's now become a thing where in the last decade, last 15 years, a lot of companies are looking at the worldwide total over what we do for a company as America now. And it's like, there is that, well, we should be catering to everybody versus, America does a certain amount, but then we have exponential more if we hit worldwide sales first or whatever. And I don't know if that's the mentality or not, but it wouldn't surprise me because, I mean, there is like a more of a global approach to a lot of these marketing deals now compared to when we were kids and everything we got first. It's like, gimme, and now we get to see all these other people and we're just like, oh, now I know how I felt for them.
Come to think of it, I think maybe Scott has a video on his Spectre Creations YouTube channel. I'll have to go digging for that. That gives us some insights into that question. But yeah.
Otherwise, you just gave him another hint.
Right, exactly. Scott, if you're listening. But I just want my toys for Christmas, that's all. I was so sure, and I'm still holding out hope that by Christmas Day we'll see somebody show off their in-hand Castle Grayskull. We'll see. Whether it's somebody from a factory, somewhere, someone from Canada, we'll see. But that's my hope. Since we've also now I've seen one picture, again, submitted to the Origins fans group in Canada of somebody who has the deluxe Clam Champ figure in hand.
Oh, yeah.
I
saw that the other night. Yep.
Yeah, I saw that too.
No sign of battle armor He-Man yet. It's just a waiting game. But yeah, here's hoping that early to mid-January that maybe we'll be able to, we'll get an announcement.
We'll be going through Big Bad toy stores to order our baby Yodas, and we'll come across it. And think, oh my!
I was excited the other night because I noticed there were some listings on Amazon for the Mega Construx construction sets, jet sled, cliff climber, and tower tools. And I shared some of that news around and realized, oh wait, These are from Toy Wiz. They're third-party listings.
I saw that because when I saw you post it, I went to buy it because I guess instead of the Origins, I'm going into the Mega Blocks with collecting all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw the price, I'm like, this definitely is a third-party seller because that's even more than the Roton.
See, yeah,
I pre-ordered.
I haven't been collecting the Mega Construx. I have the Talon Fighter set that somebody gave to me as a gift from my family, but I don't have, I haven't been out looking to buy any of them. So mainly because the castle is so darn expensive. But so that's why I didn't myself catch that, is because I don't know how much they should be priced at. Origins, I can tell you, I can quote you all the prices for those. I'm well versed in Origins, just not the Mega Construx stuff.
Well, I pre-ordered the Mega Construx Battle Ram, and it cost me $18.
Oh, okay.
Which has a lot more pieces than any of the Skeletor heads that are coming out through Mega Block.
Right.
And Toy Wiz was charging close to $40.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I noticed a couple pictures, and they're a lot smaller than I thought they would be. I was thinking that the Skeletor head was kind of like the same size as a what do you call that? Like a Halloween pumpkin that you would fill up with candy, a little bucket, something like that.
I know what
it's pretty small.
It is.
Yeah.
Mega Bloks puts out Pokeballs.
Pokeballs?
With different Pokemon inside for you to build.
Okay.
So I was figuring Skeletor's head will probably be about the same size, and those sets are like $8 to $10.
Oh, okay.
So Toy Wiz is taking advantage, knowing us He fans and She Ravers are still desperate for merchandise.
Well,
That's
and it's
why when you posted it, I said, it's a third-party seller. Be careful.
Right. Well, and I noticed today somebody posted and said and showed off some really cool photos of their construction sets already in hand today from Toy Wiz. And it was actually all three of the sets, not just the two that were advertised on Amazon. He said that he bought like a 6-pack from Toy Wiz, and that's how he was able to get all three. And they look very cool. I can't wait to see them in the store. And it's so exciting to see something so obscure as the jet sled, the cliff climber, and the tower tools. I mean, those, we haven't seen toys of those since the 80s.
As Kevin Smith could say, that's a deep cut right there.
Yeah. A deep cut, that's right. I'm super tempted.
Yeah, and right now, Toy Wiz is the only one selling those three. So it's like...
But how does that work? Why do they have them?
I don't know. And they weren't supposed to be exclusives. They were supposed to be everywhere.
Yeah, they're getting the first dibs on them, apparently. It's very odd.
Yeah, because where I normally order my Mega Bloks, they told me they're not even allowed to start advertising them until January.
What were you going to say, Shawn?
I was just going to say, you kind of get the feeling that we're getting this stuff, which is great, and the fans are happy that the brand is back again, and you're able to have the nostalgia. But then there is a part of me that when I hear people talking, like obviously here or online and stuff, Facebook groups, I just kind of sit there and go, you kind of get the feeling that maybe like Mattel's just kind of like shotgunning stuff and seeing what happens sometimes with like how these are released and what through who or whatever, because it is kind of like there's some that are out there on the street, and then there's somewhere, nope, we can't do that, but how did they get it? I don't know. It's a really odd, like, I mean, I'm again, like I missed out on a decent amount of when the classics were going on, and I came in at the tail end of all that. finally, and like, ravenously went after as much as I could. But I feel like, there at least there was a point person that you could address questions to. In this case, it just feels like there's an entity, and there's nobody to really go. Who, like the brand manager for Origins. The most that I've heard out of him was from PowerCon, and that's it. So it is kind of like it's almost like it's the entity of Mattel, but you don't know who's in charge anymore. You just know these people are doing things for the brand and all that. So it's weird. It's kind of like, who do you address questions to? Who do you address comments to? They might be in the groups.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can.
I mean, they need. I was gonna say Mattel needs one point person who can turn around and say, "Okay, I know who in the Imaginext, I know who in the Mega Bloks team, I know who's in the Origins." That we could turn around. This is the guy who goes and finds our answers. They need a 1 point person.
They need to hire me to.
There you go. Pay you in toys.
Yeah, but you'd have to relocate down to California.
Right.
Yeah.
But everybody works remotely now, right?
Well, there is that. Plus, I mean, you are already on the West Coast, so you at least have that going for you. Whereas, somebody like me, it's like, I can't go across the country like that right now. I'm too tired. I'm too tired. But no, it is interesting though, because like at least Scott was there back in the old days of those lines, and any questions, boom, he'd be answering them on He-Man.org, or he'd be on Roast Google,
or on Maddie Collector.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Maddie had the forums too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I can't thank him enough for those efforts, and for all the work he did with trying to promote through the videos that he created. That's all stuff that nobody told him to do that. It was all just his sweat equity into the line and into the brand, which again I'm hugely appreciative of. And it's just a shame that there was so much anger directed at him over the years about every little problem about the line that came up.
That could be why they don't have a point person, though.
Exactly.
Come to think of it, because I've actually been listening to his videos over the last week again when I'm working at night, and I mean he really has made a point of saying, once he left Mattel, the people who took over, they just kind of did their own thing, and you notice there wasn't one single person that you could point to after he left, and it could be because of all that, because of all the drama that happened. And I mean, just look at Facebook groups. You're going to have tons of fans who are just wanting to just spout that negativity like crazy because they're just frustrated, or they feel entitled, or whatever. And I wouldn't want, I'd love to be able to sit down and do this at a company, especially with a brand I love. Like, hey, you want to talk Masters of the Universe? Yes, please. Or you want to talk Ninja Turtles? Yes, please. But, I would not want to be the person that all of a sudden has all of that negativity thrown at. And I know he suffered even worse than that at certain points. And that it's toys. Yeah. It's not life or death. This is toys, But I kind of miss that though in this way, because even PowerCon was the most we've gotten to express any questions to the people handling stuff. And even then, the answers that we got weren't really detailed. It was
as vague as possible.
Yeah, the vaguest possible, exactly. Or the answer was, like in the case, I know we've all had the discussion about like the knee joints on here, and I love that they addressed that, and then Ruben's just like, I think they're fine, and they just moved on, and you're like, like there's more to talk about with this, but okay, we're moving on, So it'd be nice to have like even on the He-Man.org, have them have a interview with them or something, and that you can at least read these answers or something. But
I wanted to just touch on what you said about how, people get on the groups and complain and stuff, and that there's no one person now that you can point to. One thing that I've seen on the groups, and I know that they're, it's social media, you get a few people who, you need to have their posts removed or something because they're very inappropriate. But one very positive thing that I'm seeing on the groups is people coming together and quickly trying to solve people's problems, to answer their questions, to clarify the people's knowledge about the line and the toys. And I think that's great. It's like a hive mind coming together,
Yeah, and I would have to say, I've said it before, I'm sure on the show at one point or another, but the community of Masters, the fans, I'd say a majority of them are they're very into inclusiveness. To, hey, you're new to the brand, that's cool. I've loved it since I was a kid, but hey, we love what we love, and even in the last year, like the people we've had on the show, the people that I've been able to talk to, that I was like, I can talk to this person. This is amazing. So it's like all across the board, I have nothing but good things to say about a lot of the fandom that's out there for Masters, and I think a lot of that is there is a certain amount of like, it reminds me of being a kid and you are off in the corner playing with something that you love, and then you hear somebody like over on the side, just all of a sudden they say, by the power of Grayskull, and you look over like, you know this too? And you're like, you're like, you know this? And then they're like, yeah. And it's like, did we just become best friends? Yeah. And so there is that cultivating, about trying to be positive and trying to be inclusive. And if somebody's new to stuff, I mean, I've seen how many posts though in like a week. I would say there are people, why is the Green Goddess green? Or why does Tila wear a snakehead dress but when she's wearing the... And it's like, there are people out there that don't understand that aspect of stuff, and then you'll see people chime in all of a sudden out of nowhere. And it's like, there's that part of me going, thank you, because I don't want to answer this question. I've already seen it like 5 or 6 other times. But there's so many other people as well who are like, yeah, let's inform this person. Let's keep them that they're still interested in this and enjoying it like the rest of us, and that's great.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned, like, yeah, there are a few it's because most of my adultcollector.org groups are topic specific. You do get into that scenario more often where it's, okay, I've seen 10 posts today about concerns about shipping, the same thing over and over again. And so in a few instances, I've had to say, okay, here's a new thread, and if you want to talk about this, reply to this thread. Don't create a new post because it's going to get denied and referred to this new thread.
Well, that's I can imagine how you must have felt when there were people up until last month who kept, when is Snake Mountain going to ship again?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I remember seeing that at least one per hour at times. Mm-hmm. Groups, I'd be like, oh my gosh. So exactly. I definitely, like I said, as brand manager or an administrator on a Facebook group, it's like, oh God, but it's still fun to be involved and enjoy the brand in one way or another and enjoy the geekdom about it.
Yeah, right at the moment, it's the repeat posts I'm seeing are, where did you get those PowerCon figures or those Lord of Power figures? Where and how much? Like, it's like, buddy, you missed that train a long time ago. They're gone. Same thing with Snake Mountain, like you said. It's like, no, they're sold out. They were sold out months ago. They're gone.
It is what it is, and I mean, and that's one of the hardest parts about a lot of this stuff is, like, Masters being what it is. Like, Masters is still an underground movement compared to other toy brands out there, because the multimedia side is still not there the way that it would be nice to have it there yet. And you have all these people. It's coming, but the people that are just showing up right now to the party, it's like you have to fill them in on all these other years worth of knowledge that leading up to this point, and why this is the answer to your question sometimes. And it's the equivalent to me of like, okay, you're on the 10th, like Supernatural descended after 15 seasons. I would not want to crib note that show to somebody that just started watching it. I'd be like,
Right.
I don't even know how to explain this to you. Just
Exactly.
run with it. It's kind of the same thing with some of the new people that show up sometimes.
Well, at least with that, we have a new book. Well, not a new book, but a reprint coming out.
Yeah.
And that is the cartoon guide from Dark Horse. They're doing a second printing. So we can turn around and say, here's your reading material.
Here's your homework.
Oh, and by the way, Amazon is running a sale on the comic strip book. So add that to your shopping list too.
Yeah, they
'Cause
discounted
I believe it was like, I think it was like $20.
Yeah, it's like $17.58 or something like that. At least when I last checked it.
Yeah, that's about what I saw it too. So at least we can give them, here's your reading.
Well,
Come back to me when you're done with your homework assignment.
Well, that's you're right in your natural space of being the teacher and doing that kind of stuff. Whereas there's people like me that you would just watch me die inside, going, I don't know how to explain this to you in 5 minutes. It's gonna take a while. Sit down. And the Dark Horse books. The other thing I heard is they're gonna actually do a reprinting as well of the mini comics edition. So,
which is the best book ever, by the way.
I love that one. That one, I know they've done some amazing books, but that one is just, I could sit through that and I lose track of time because I'm like reliving my childhood, but I'm also enjoying the art on huge pages compared to the little mini comics we had when we were a kid.
Yeah.
So that one's well worth it when that one gets reprinted as well.
Someday it would be nice to have a supplemental that includes all the mini comics for the completed Origins collection once we're done with this line, and what else? Yeah, the Masters of the WWE. That's right. Yep. Yeah, that would be a fun add-on to that book.
Someday it would be nice if they even combined all the Golden Book ones. But that's just
that would be nice too. The Golden Books and the Lady Bird book.
Yes.
But if you haven't ordered your toy guide yet, you can still get the PowerCon exclusive 2-pack. They're only about half sold. So you can get the toy guide with the supplemental character guide.
That one is, I would assume that they won't be reprinting that anytime soon. No. So now is the time to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want
the supplemental guide, they even said during PowerCon it will be the only printing, and you can only get it through them.
And you can buy the toy book, the regular toy book on Amazon, but if you want the bundle, you have to get it through PowerCon.
And the bundle also helps to pay for everybody who put their blood, sweat, tears, and time into that book as well. It helps fans in the community.
Okay. Well, we also had, talking about toys still, and how we said we needed a point person. We forgot about Hot Wheels.
That's right.
Land Shark has been seen in the wild, as well as character cars.
That is really fun. Hot Wheels, Land Shark. Several people have been able to buy the Land Shark. I believe two of those people that reported that news on the groups said that Mattel told them that the release date wasn't ready. One person said they wouldn't let them buy the Land Shark. Two others said they were successful in talking them into selling them. So those are on their way for sure. And the character cars too, people are picking those up. Yeah, I haven't gone looking for them, but yeah, they're very cool looking. I honestly, I always look at those types of cars and think, well, why don't they just make them look just like the vehicles in Masters of the Universe? And thankfully, we've got those exclusive offerings like the Land Shark and the Wind Raider before it. But I don't know, why don't they have a whole pack of them? You know, I feel like those shouldn't be exclusive. They should be like, here's a 5-pack and here's another 5-pack, you know, and you've got all these cool He-Man vehicles all at once.
Yeah.
Well, I know a couple of years ago they did do a 4 or 5-pack of character cars in the midst of Classics reign.
Yes.
I can't be exactly sure because I did have it and I sold it because I still had a minted card, but it looked like Castle Grayskull, and I bought it at Toys R Us. It was like $20 for all of them.
Yeah.
And it was just screen printed cars with Skeletor and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the pictures I've seen of the character cars are different from that previous release, for those who were wondering.
Yeah, there are quite a few character cars that they've come. Well, not necessarily character cars, but you know, there's basically 3 flavors, right? There are the vehicles, the toys that look just like the Motu vehicles. There's the character cars that are cars that kind of look like the characters, and then there's the original Hot Wheel toys where it's just a car with a picture of artwork from Masters of the Universe slapped on the side of it. I'm hoping we see a lot more of the first category where they actually look just like the vehicles, like the Land Shark and Wind Raider. That's my flavor.
That's the one I bought. I this was a while after they had them out in the market, but I was at a Walmart this summer and I finally found one. Mm-hmm. And I just love that they have the box art there as the card back and everything. And there is something fun to that. You know, like I'd rather collect something that looks, here's a miniature version versus, you know, like I don't know. There is a part of me that's like, have like an old 70s van with He-Man and Battle Cat, the William George art. We're gonna be like, yeah, that works. You know, it's like it's got that like the old, you know, like the band driving the cross country vibe to it or whatever, you know, and from concert to concert. But yeah, the ones where I'm just more like, just give me what I remember and make it a Hot Wheels car. That's where the heart is to me too. So
yeah. Well, I would like to see some that are kind of like wacky racers, or, you know, so you've got a somewhat large-ish character like He-Man or Skeletor, and they're riding a Motu vehicle like the Battle Ram or the Wind Raider, and they make it kind of cartoony, almost like they're riding a go-kart, like the what is that called? Like they're like those Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like the Mario Kart Hot Wheel toys. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's however they present it anymore, and like you said, you got your choices of flavor, so it's like, okay, you know, you at least have a decision to be made. If you want them all, you can have them all, and if you like that one particular kind, like you and I are talking about, and if they did those, honestly, those would still be fun. I might actually pick up a couple of those and have them for my kid. You know, he'd probably have a blast just shooting those across the living room, and then we find them in the middle of the night and step on them, and we're screaming bloody murder like Legos and all that stuff.
As God intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows, once Revelation comes out and, you know, the other Netflix show and the new Master of the Universe movie, we could get all kinds of fun toys to play with by next year, like remote control vehicles, right?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that quick. I know Kevin Smith was on another podcast recently, and he was talking about the minimal updates they're willing to give for that show even. And He said that he actually got to hear the music they're going to use. He said for a special moment, like a transition moment, as it were, and then it turned. Yeah, that's the transformation sequence, and he's admitted that it's not what we had when we were kids. This is their take on it or whatever. But
oh, really?
Yeah. So.
It's
little tiny bits, and the thing is, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I feel bad for him. This is why there's no point person, and I didn't even think of him, but now I'm remembering. It's like, Scott having all the frustration of some of the collectors out there with their ire and going after him for any frustrations, but imagine being Kevin Smith right now. You have something you announced over a year ago that hasn't even gotten to the point of showing a trailer for it. And he admitted it'll be about 6 to 9 months from, I think it was September or October, when he had that update. Yeah. And now here he is trying to talk a little bit more. And every time he's just like, I really want to tell you everything. He's like, I'd let you watch it right now, but they're not letting me. And it's like, that could be why we have that problem. Yeah. And it's like, Mattel just is that company right now, and I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to just sit down with him and go, okay, I don't have any recording device. You could even use a metal detector on me. Just talk to me about this. Give me something.
Right.
Oh, man.
Well, we still have a little bit of more news that hit Twitter, and it's coming from Funko. We could be getting a Funko town set of Snake Mountain.
That would be
so
fun.
Those who missed out on the Super 7 Snake Mountain, well, you can get the Funko one.
Not quite the same thing, but yeah.
It's not going to cost you close to $1,000 at this point.
Well, and so the announcement, or not announcement, but the news from this Funko Pop news source on Twitter, I wouldn't consider it an official announcement yet, but they said that it would be a Funko Pop Town set of Snake Mountain with Skeletor, and you might remember that the original Skeletor Funko Pop figure is now worth quite a lot of money.
Oh yes, that first wave of Masters are all ridiculously priced.
Right. So that might be the reason why they're going with Snake Mountain first before Castle Grayskull, is because of the popularity and the secondary market price of the Skeletor figure. Although, I don't know, maybe they could easily just include another Skeletor Filmation figure. We'll see.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot of Skeletors in their vault, because there's also the Battle Armor Skeletor that they've done. They've done the Disco Skeletor, the Wobble Head Skeletor.
Yeah, we've got
I think I have a Skeletor fetish going on. I'm just thinking of all the Skeletors that I have. I'm like, and I just bought the Havoc Staff 1-to-1 scale model. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I going to the dark side?
Well, you gotta think though. If they did if they do the live action movie, whoever they cast, if they go the Keldor route, they're going to cast somebody that there are going to be so many people online going, oh my God, Skeletor is so hot. And that you might be at the beginning of that wave. That you could say you lay claim to it on this show tonight for that reason, because there's always that, and I'm not trying to peg it on you, but there is that typical thing that I hear about, but the bad boys. Oh, the bad boys. It's that whole thing.
And that is so true with us ladies. We always go for the bad boys. What our fathers would never approve of.
It's like there's women out there going, yeah, if I ended up with He-Man, he'd make me feel bad for eating chocolate cake or something, but because he's got abs of steel and all this. But Skeletor, he'd be like, have more. Oh, that would be the way it would work online, I think.
I wanted to
There
mention.
are too many. Oh, I was just going to say there are too many sexy drawings of Skeletor out there online, especially on a Battle Cat rug.
I was just gonna say him doing the George, in my opinion, that's the George from Seinfeld. I don't know if that really is winning over too many people. Oh, but yeah.
So touching on Revelation, what I would really like to see is some scene where He-Man's in trouble or Prince Adam's in trouble, and then Cringer grabs the sword maybe in his mouth and he says, "By the power of Grayskull," and then he would turn into Battle Cat, and then lightning would shoot out of the sword and hit Prince Adam and turn him into He-Man, saving the day.
Now that would be cool. That would be not too long ago I got to talk about the Council of Evil 2-parter and The Last Stand from 2000X, and one of my favorite moments of the entire 3-parter was when Adam's falling to his death and Cringer jumps across the gorge and saves him. It's like, if there was ever like a moment that made you just cheer because you see, it's like Cringer of all characters should not be that heroic, but he is right there. And that would have been a heck of a moment. Oh, and since you're talking about that Revelation really quick, the one other thing that he said that I think is going to be interesting is apparently, I guess the each episode or whatever, or at least in the beginning of the series, Man-at-Arms is going to retell the entire history leading up to that series opening. He said, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. We're not doing the typical I am Adam, Prince of Eternia. They're going to actually have, here is the chronology leading up to what they're going to show in this tale. And
I could see that.
I like that, and because of the actor that they had, I think it's Liam Cunningham, if I remember right. I'm one of the very few people who has never seen Game of Thrones, so I know he's a Game of Thrones actor that they chose for Man-at-Arms, and he's the one that's doing the narration. And Kevin Smith was like, if you want anybody to narrate anything, that is the guy you want to have do it, because he brings this, this reverence for what he's talking about to the viewer and to the audience. And it's like, that gave me kind of tingles going, it feels like they want to take this completely legit seriously, and they're really, really digging in on this. So it's just, Mattel, I want to like shake my fist like Skeletor at them. Costume Mattel, show us something, I'm at that point in my fandom. It's like, it's been over a year. You could at least give us something, other than the cast list, something. But
give us line drawings or headshots with the line drawings.
The closest we've gotten was at PowerCon with those silhouettes to show these are the figures that they're going to have in the Masterverse first wave. And that was enough for me to go, I want to see more now, because those silhouettes are more interesting than all the other news at this point. Because now I'm starting to get an idea, like it's starting to shape in my head. So,
maybe part of it is just the fact that this is such a high-profile product that they're producing with a huge list of celebrities of actors, and Kevin Smith being the showrunner. I think it's really important for them to get it right in terms of, how much they release, the schedule of content that they release for Revelation to the fan base, so that they can make sure that the first impression, is just right, that they put their first foot forward, because there are so many projects that have fallen on their face just because the fan reaction, the knee-jerk reaction from the fans was so vitriol, so toxic.
I agree.
Also, I think they know that we're so desperate that if it's not done right, we're going to let them know it so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the Netflix era being over, I still see people complaining about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think the difference in this case, like anybody who's going into Revelation figuring they're just going to see, here's Filmation again, and it's going to be the exact same designs again, and it's going to be the exact same soundtrack again. I think those people are going to be really not thrilled because like I knew when they announced this, it's like they're trying to honor what we had, but they're not trying to go, we have to be slavish to this. It's going to have the spirit there. I think it's going to have it's going to be a little more epic than Filmation was able to do potentially. From the way he's talking and from what little tidbits I've been able to hear about, it sounds like they want to push this up to, I mean, again, Game of Thrones kind of levels of storytelling versus, episodic like Filmation and all that stuff. I think the fandom has been so hungry for anything that they know we're starving. We need something. We've had comic books in the last couple years, and thankfully those are new stories that we can get into, but we don't have anything else. We just got a new toy line and everything. But no,
we have something else. The old saying, in a movie year.
Well, we do have that, but how often have you heard anything about that? I mean, the He-Man now is Atom Smasher in the Black Adam movie, and it's like you don't hear anything about He-Man. Now you're hearing more about DC, the DCEU or whatever they're calling it now, compared to Masters of the Universe news. And granted, the pandemic is what it is, and it has been slow going on a lot of fronts. But there's a part of me that's I would like to see something new. I would like to see something that I don't have to just go on YouTube and keep watching the same old stories all the time. So I'm glad it didn't come out this year, the more that I think about it. Because the worst thing that could have happened for that show in particular is if this would have come out during the pandemic, the whole build up to this thing that Kevin Smith has been cultivating it, and they are hinting at it here and there in different ways. It's like, imagine that coming out during the pandemic, and within the first 2 days it's released, all the spoilers are all out there for everybody, and everyone who's been waiting for this is just sitting there going, well, now I want more. And you're like, but you just got something.
Right.
So, and that's the nature of the beast these days, unfortunately. But I don't know, like, I go into another fandom really quick, like The Mandalorian. I've fallen into that hole just like a lot of other people over the last year, and I can tell you, it's like scheduled. I have to sit down and watch this because it's important for me to see what it is first, versus going on Facebook that morning and getting something that I don't want to see hitting me, from a spoiler perspective. I think this could be that way if they would try it, but I don't know if Netflix has it in them to do, we're going to release one a week until the whole, however many episodes are released. So
it's not Netflix style. They release the whole thing so you can binge it.
And that's
the only thing I hate about Netflix.
Yeah, and that's what worries me. And I don't know. It's like I would love to have something new, but I'm so glad it wasn't this year when everybody's just sitting there going, I'm bored, I want to watch something. And then all of a sudden, 48 hours later, you're hearing everything, and you might not have been able to watch it in its entirety or whatever. But
yeah, there's that panic of, oh my God, there's a new episode of Mandalorian and everybody's talking about it, and I've got to watch it before I see the spoiler on Facebook, which that happened to me, is like, there's the spoiler. Well, I missed my chance. And the same thing's going to happen, like you're talking about with any Motu series, with these 2 Motu series that are going to be on Netflix, is okay, I've got to watch. They just came out today. Okay, I'll watch the whole series and then I'll be okay.
Exactly.
I have to take the day off of work to watch all of this.
Right.
Before I could even log on to a computer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I think they want to take care of it. I am under the assumption of that. I am also a fan who's just like, I'm tired of the lip service. I'd love to see stuff. or hear stuff. The music you heard, put it out there. Let me hear it. You know, like that'd be great just to have
Give us,
30-second
give us a
snippet.
few bars.
Yeah, something, you know, because like everybody is used to hearing the Shuki Levy the build up, the do man, you know, from the original, when you know, okay, he's going to draw that sword and it's on, and it's like, okay, what's it going to sound like this time around? Because 2000X did it where it was more Lord of the Rings sounding than it was, you know, like, you know, 80s epicness, you know, in that way. So I don't know.
It's gonna be. I feel like there's gonna be this awkward feeling when we do start watching it, because it's gonna be all these familiar voices, just not the ones that we want, right? It's yeah, wow, that's that person from this show, or it's that person from this show. But it's not gonna be He-Man. It's not gonna be Evelyn. It's, you know. But you know, just like any other new series like 2000X, for example, we're just gonna have to get used to, you know, this new voice actor cast, and yeah, and it's very exciting that at one point Kevin Smith said that we haven't seen the full cast yet, even though they've already announced this huge list of stars. No, there's more to come.
Yeah, and to just think there's certain characters even on that list that we never got in a media version like this before. So that already is like, okay, the possibilities, and then who else are they going to bring in? Oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm a little nervous that it doesn't become a double-edged sword. And again, I feel bad for him in that way then, because there is a certain amount of, maybe we could have waited to announce it a different time. I still feel that some days. But then the other part of me is like, I don't know. It feels like it's both Netflix and Mattel that have the stranglehold on this show, and that series in particular the most. So, well, who knows?
I'd like to ask, has this happened before where every character in this show is a huge celebrity? When was the last time that we saw that? Now, I know that with other animated series or movies, there might be 2 or 3 celebrities, but this is I want to say unprecedented.
Actually, no. The 86 Transformers movie had a huge list of all-stars.
They did, but I feel like this one actually has a little more than that in the amount. I mean, obviously Orson Welles, Judd Nelson,
Leonard Nimoy,
Lionel Stander, and
it's a good comparison though.
Robert Stack, yeah, that and the I always call him this, the Micro Machines guy. I never can remember the poor guy's name, but you know, he's
never either.
But
and how fast he could talk.
And that wasn't a special effect. That was just him. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like for that day and age, and it worked for that character. But I feel like, I mean, you have, heck, you have somebody like Tony Todd showing up for this one. And then on top of that, Mark Hamill, somebody who's really seasoned like Kevin Conroy. And I mean, yeah.
It's like they went to the autograph section of a comic book convention, gathered up all the celebrities and said, guess what, guys, we're going to make a show together.
Exactly.
Let's do this.
and he's pulling in also people that they just came off of a hot property, like Lena Headey with Game of Thrones, and Liam Cunningham, if I got that right, Game of Thrones as well, and some of those people. So they actually went the distance with this to get some people where if you see this person's connected to that, they bring a certain amount of expectation along to go, are they doing it where it's going to be maybe a little more dark this time? Is it going to have, you know, some like maybe more violence to it? And I think that might be the case.
Kevin Smith has said this is going to be the darkest Masters of the Universe story ever. And just looking at the Castlevania animated series that Powerhouse Animation created, you know, I'm a little worried that it's literally going to be it's just going to be nightfall throughout the entire show. I don't know. That's probably not the case, but but yeah, I can definitely see them going for a very, very dark, story with this one, which will be very, the contrast will be really stark between that and the Filmation series that this is supposedly following.
Well, I
Well, they
like.
see.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they figured we're grown up.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna have the same taste as we did when we were
Sure.
12-year-olds first falling in love with the property.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably seeing, okay, what are other hot properties in the same genre? Well, you do have the Game of Thrones and the fantasy base that you wanted to.
Yeah, and you brought it up earlier, Kelly, but Transformers the movie that came out in the same time period as
86.
all of those, the Saturday morning cartoons. I'd watch those, and every time, most Autobots and Decepticons were standing by the end of that episode, even if they got shot earlier in it. And out of nowhere, you go into that movie, you witness the death of a planet in the first 5 minutes. Not to mention a hair metal version of the freaking theme song to put some hair on your chest at 7 years old.
And don't forget them killing Optimus Prime within the first 15 minutes.
Well, exactly. And you're seeing freaking Prowl with getting shot through the chest and his eyes dimming and the smoke coming out of his mouth, and Ironhide actually getting shot in the head by Mega. It's like, I remember sitting there and my jaw being on the floor as a kid. But you know what? To this day, that is one of my absolute favorite movie-going experiences of my childhood, because that movie had me constantly going, all bets are off. I don't know what's going to happen in this thing. You took Optimus off the freaking board in 20 minutes of this movie. Yeah. And I'm like, if he's here, there's this tether to it should be fine by the end of this. There's no bets on this anymore. Where are you going? And by the end of it, it was like the most I have to do the pun, but it was the most transformative story that I got to witness on the big screen, because it's showing me change. It's showing me evolution and rolling with, okay, it didn't work out the way that you planned, but guess what? You can find other options in order to make something work right by the end of this story, hopefully. And some of it, yes, it's fate or whatever, but like, I'm hoping that it does that with Masters, where it's like, yes, we all appreciate what we had as kids, but as a 42-year-old guy, I don't need to see Filmation the sequel. I appreciate what those were, but bring it where Skeletor and He-Man are doing some 2000X fights again.
Oh, they will.
They went for it there. And the other show that Powerhouse put out in the last couple months, actually, Blood of Zeus. Have either of you had the chance to see that?
Yes, that is so good. Based on the Clash of the Titans movie.
Exactly. And
binge watched that whole thing.
Yeah. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, this is probably what they're going to do with it. I'm not saying it's going to be chapter and verse, but there is definitely some heavier storytelling they told in that compared to if you watched Clash of the Titans. That's just a simple adventure tale, basically, for the most part. This was going into some deep mythology, deeper cuts, and you're seeing the origins of certain things, and you're going, that's messed up, but oh my God, I understand this character now and all that. And it's like, that to me was like, their claim to fame right now was Castlevania, because that was probably one of the most higher profile brands they have to work on, that a lot of people, Castlevania, I used to play that game, and they'd rush to that. But that Blood of Zeus, I think, is definitely more like, this is...
That's a hidden gem.
Yeah. And it's gorgeous animation. Powerhouse is... That's their MO. But the story, it's got some weighty stuff in it, and it does go for violence, but when you watch it, you're like, I see why they need to be violent in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not violent just to be violent.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there is, talking about change. I mean, Hero is going to be in Revelation.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It
you know,
is.
and we're going to see characters that we've never seen before. I mean, who knows where they're going to take the story.
It feels like they're going to span a lot of stuff, and I think for me, that's what I'm excited the most about if they go there, because I remember being a kid watching Filmation, and I had the mini comics in my head, I had the Golden Books in my head, and all this other anything that I could get my hands on that my mom could read to me, because I was like 3 and 4 when this line came out, 5 tops by the time Filmation hit. And I'm like, oh, are they going to go and they're going to have the spirit of Grayskull talk to He-Man at the end of every episode? Are they going to do this? How's this? And then I'm watching it going, huh? Like, I remember to this day, each episode, I'm like, but Spirit of Grayskull, but Skeletor's the demon from another dimension, and I always had that thing. And it's like, this one could be that version where they're getting into some deeper history of the brand and stuff in that way. Because Hero being in it, that's exciting.
They could even spin it. Like, they could technically include, like, let's say Ular and Goddess, and just, well, let's see, isn't Goddess going to be in it? Anyway, oh, that's right. Anyway, there's a new character called Priestess.
Priestess, yeah,
might be Goddess. We'll see. But yeah, they could explain that Ular is like, Heroes showing you an alternate timeline or a dimension that's very similar to their own, and where He-Man is Ular and whatnot. I mean,
God, I'm going down the rabbit hole tonight. The one other thing I'm going to throw out there,
3-part special, a 3-hour Christmas special.
We say this every time we record, but this is our PowerCon once every couple of weeks. We get to geek out about He-Man for a while, but. Okay, they established in the comics recently the idea of the multiverse. What are the chances that they are going to actually talk about that and maybe even go into the concept of a Masters multiverse within that show?
That would be amazing. I was actually wondering if Hero is going to be the actual Hero that we know, in terms of lore. They could easily take the Hero character, but then completely change who we know him to be. Like like he could be he could be He-Man from a different dimension, or one of these multiverses, for example.
I think since Kevin Smith isn't giving us much, I think each episode we need to sit down and come up with our ideas for the episodes, and then let's see how they work out to theirs.
Let's start. Let's start producing our own Revelation show and see which one gets
Council of the first one's Revelation. And each episode, okay, we're going to start here. He-Man's born. What happened? I don't know. Let's start there and just go.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Adam and Adora were born.
Yep.
Now, does Hordak kidnap him or Skeletor?
Yeah.
Let's go way back to the beginning.
Well, oh God, I'm having too much. My brain's going in too many directions. They haven't announced whether or not they're going to do an Adora or She-Ra. What if that ends up being somebody they announce later on when they're closer to the release date?
Okay, I found an interview that Kevin Smith did shortly after PowerCon, when the series was first announced. He did this interview, and it was very revealing. And he said that, and I don't think anybody in the Motu community really knew about it until a very long time after. But you can find it on the Master of the Universe Revelation page and the Revelation fans group. In the interview, he said that we could see She-Ra in the second season, and that we might even see a He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special.
I remember hearing about the Christmas special, and I do remember reading that article where he did say we could see She-Ra in season 2.
Right.
Because that would also, if I remember, it also said the Horde.
Yeah, I think that would go hand in hand. And I'm trying to think of, like, okay, so it's a He-Man and She-Ra special, but what if they go really dark with it? Then would it even be appropriate? Otherwise, it's, yes, we're celebrating Christmas, but but the Eternian Palace has been bombed out by Horde troopers, and we're fighting desperately for our lives. I don't know. They could work with it. They can make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if Die Hard can be considered a Christmas movie, we can bomb the palace. They call it a Christmas movie.
I mean, honestly, like, the thing that I go to usually is I can almost picture it like a Doctor Who Christmas special. It's like there's that one thing that happens, and it's during Christmas, and they got to put an end to it, or whatever, and that just summing it up or whatever. I mean, that's what the basic Christmas special was from the '80s too, or whatever. But yeah. I don't know. There's too many questions, as you can tell from how many questions I've had tonight, even. But yeah, going into next year, because this is our last one of the year, I think, right? So it's like, I'm looking at, well, this is what we're getting. So we've barely gotten anything. I just want to keep on going down that rabbit hole a little bit each time. So yeah,
we're finally done with 2020, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we have a brighter 2021.
We will.
We have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
I can't
Revelation. Not like we haven't talked about it enough, but yeah, Revelation is one of those things. So.
Revelation. We've got another. We actually have 2 Netflix series to look forward to, both Masters of the Universe. And we've got hopefully the live action Master of the Universe movie. We've got 2, let's see, what are we up to? 2 board games. We've got a 3rd game that's like D&D in Legends of Grayskull, not to be confused with the wonderful podcast by the same name.
We still haven't gotten cease and desist notices, so I guess we're okay. Yeah.
Right. And what else? We've got,
comic books.
Yeah, we've got a prequel series for Multiverse that's going to be coming out. That's something that Kevin Smith announced at PowerCon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got a lot more Origins figures and Masters of the WWE Universe figures.
Masterverse is
coming.
That'll be hitting too.
I'm sure.
Boy.
Let's see.
He needs to eat in 2021.
Well, I was thinking anytime we record in 2021, it'll almost be like we're all hungover and just, hey man, like there's such a glut of it by that point. We're all just like, I don't know what to say. I have so much now.
There are going to be a ton of new fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm sure that the Masters community is ready to embrace them.
Mm-hmm.
And to get them all caught up, and it's going to be just a wonderful year, and that's on top of the pandemic is going to be under control with the vaccines, and life will start to return to normal.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yes, we'll have to venture out into the real world again.
Oh, no. Not this work from home person. No, I'm good.
I was going to say, that's pretty much the one thing that I do like about the pandemic is the fact that we can work at home. That's a rare privilege that I wouldn't mind seeing continue. Yeah.
As always, you can find new Masters of the Universe products currently at Walmart for the next 11 days or so, as of the recording of this podcast. 2021, He-Man will be found all over America in all stores, hopefully. Tell you better get those boats coming in quick. And as always, to stay up to the minute with all your Masters of the Universe news, check out heman.org. And I'd like to wish all of you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and I look forward to talking to you in the new year. Good journey.
This is David Clark, owner of AdultCollector.org, and I want to wish everyone a happy holiday and to stay safe and good journey, everyone.
And this is Shawn. Thanks everybody for listening. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. Hopefully 2021 will be much better to us than 2020 ever was. And definitely a wealth of good stuff coming down the pike. So obviously it's looking that way. So, and until we get to talk later in the new year, good journey.